Welcome to Goshen Prepping. Thank you so much for joining us. We get asked all the time. In fact, this is probably our number one question is, how do you deal with friends and family and relatives who don't prep? Well, obviously, the whole situation is you want them to see what's happening and you want them to start prepping and be prepared because you know what? You love them. Darn it, you want to be able to help them out. Understand you need to, not them, but you need to have a paradigm shift and try to view it from their point of view. It's important you do this because unless you actually make that connection and understand why, you'll never convince them. I mean, let's be honest. There's some people, no matter what you do, you'll never convince them anyway, and they'll never start prepping. But there's hope, isn't there? Friends, family, relatives, neighbors. There are 5 things you can do to help you understand them to make it so they can start prepping. Number 1, nothing's going to happen. Let's look at it from their point of view. They go to work, have their kids, have fun, watch TV every night. And you know what? Things have always been this way. Why can't we simply just realize that, we may actually have some catastrophes, some flooding here or a tornado or power outages here, but listen, crap's not going to hit the fan. That's what they think. They literally think everything will continue on the way it's been going. But that's our point. As preppers, we look at history. We look at what's happened in the past, and there's actually one general rule when it comes to historians. All civilizations have failed or will fail. And you need to let them see that because if they want to look at history, they're looking at a very short span of history, the last few decades perhaps. Let's not forget about the wars and stuff and all those things have happened in the last couple of decades. But they look at a very short time span. How about you expand that out over the past few thousand years? And you'll see that civilizations collapse. They collapse all the time. There are major wars and catastrophes. And for some reason, when we actually start focusing on the short term, well, it's kind of like burying our head in the sand and we don't think about, things will actually happen. So you want to make sure you get them to look at history and say, have you seen history? Have you seen what's going to happen? All those things have happened. It's going to happen again. There's no reason to think it wouldn't. With that in mind, it's always good to try to put out some news to see how things are heading down that path. I mean, right now our headlines are showing this anyway. And that's actually why at Goshen Prepping, by the way, we have 2 types of videos. We have videos where we talk about the news, kind of lights a fire under your butt, but it's really about, this is happening in the news. You might want to prep this way to prepare for it. And then, of course, then we talk about our general just preparedness videos as well. Number 2, I can't afford to prep. I would hope that the last few years have really shown that you can't afford not to prep. I mean, let's face it, the dollar store isn't $1 anymore. It's like cans of veggies went up to like $1.25. But from what I understand, they actually even have shelves now that are $3 and $5 each. Another store that started called Five Below, they actually have items in there now that are not below $5 because inflation is killing us. And even though in some areas we've seen a little bit of a lull, the inflation's not so bad anymore in certain areas, doesn't mean it's not going to happen again. But either way, the prices are already higher. If you started prepping 3 or 4 years ago and you got your can of corn for 49 cents, and now that can of corn is 75 cents, and you stockpiled it, guess what? You just saved, 26 cents a can. You can't afford not to prep because understand right now, let's say a can of corn is $1. There's a good chance, I in fact bet money on it, it's going to be $1.25 or $2 eventually someday. So if you buy that corn now, you're actually saving money. You can't afford to not prep because things always get more expensive. That's inflation. Number 3, the government will take care of me. In my opinion, this is actually one of the biggest excuses they have. People truly believe in the back of their mind, the government's there to take care of us. The government's there to, always be that lending hand, that big brother who's going to do everything good for us. Well, it'll do good for you, providing you're giving them the power and the money and everything else they want. We've talked about that many times. But beyond all that, here's what you need to show these people, your friends and family relatives, that when it comes to government, if the government truly is there to help you in every circumstance, then why is it if you go to ready.gov or FEMA or the CDC, not saying I put value in any of these websites, but all of them have this one thing in common. They tell you need to prepare for catastrophes. You need to have food and water and medicine, and the list goes on and on and on. Why is it if the government truly was there to help you, do they not have all those things already set up for you in case that happens? I mean, look, let's face it. In New Orleans, the Superdome, people were stranded there for over a week before the government got to them. A week! In our modern times, even if the government truly was there for us, we're going to be there to help you, citizens, they still can't get to catastrophic situations in any certain amount of time. And if we look at a major catastrophe, be it like an EMP or something else that causes the grid to go down permanently, et cetera, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Well, the government, simply put, will not be there for you. And your friends, family, relatives need to see this. Number 4, well, I'll just come to your house. Wait, you admitted to your friends and family that you're a prepper? You admitted or even shown you have stockpiles? You have broken the number 1 rule, the number 1 commandment when it comes to prepping. You do not show anybody ever your stockpiles. Don't ever do it. Because guess what? Loose lips sink ships. Everybody's going to know. And even if actually those certain family members, for example, won't tell anybody, they know. And now all that food you stockpiled for yourself, you have enough food for a year. Well, now you only have a half a year because your Aunt Martha is going to come over and eat half your corned beef hash. All right, but here's the thing. Obviously, first off, don't do that. But secondly, you need to make it very clear if you did let the cat out of the bag that you have these stockpiles, you can still put out that brush fire. And here's what you do. They'll talk about it and say, oh, you have all these preps here. Even if they don't come out and say, you got all these preps here, but that's what they're thinking. Just say, yeah, I've actually put so much time and money and energy into all my preps, and I'm happy it's going to save my tushy when crap hits the fan. And don't put them specifically like Aunt Martha. I'm not talking to you, but anybody who thinks they're going to come over here and just eat my food, they're crazy after I put all this time and money and energy into it. If you put it like that, then they'll simply say, oh, wow, obviously it's not an open door policy and your corned beef hash is not my corned beef hash. Even if you actually prepare ahead and you have enough for them as well, here's what you do. You also, in those nonchalant statements, oh, what a great day today, isn't it beautiful? Oh, by the way, anybody who shows up at my house when crap hits the fan and wants to eat my food will be working. This is not going to be a free ride. Not you, Aunt Martha, but anybody in general who shows up, if they think they're going to eat my food and just sit around all day and do nothing, they are sadly mistaken. We have lots of gardening. We have lots of cows to milk. We have lots of dishes to do, whatever the case may be. Start laying those things out ahead of time now. Now, again, if you haven't told them you have a stockpile, don't even go there. Even if they think you're a prepper, lead on to it. Yeah, I prepare and I've got like a camping stove and stuff, but I don't really have a lot of extra food. Try to make it so they think you don't have a lot of stuff there. But if they already do, again, you need to go ahead and try to sway it and let them know, in not so many words, you will not be coming to my house, at least not for a free ride. Number 5, I don't know where to start. And this is a very valid reason, by the way. Again, look at it from their point of view. There is so much stuff to think about, isn't there? So many different types of food. Will this food store, will this one last? Water, can I just put water into a jug? How does it work with actually trying to cook without electricity? And what do I do? Do I actually buy things like from this company? And that in itself gets extremely expensive. Hopefully, this is actually their excuse, by the way. Because if you try to step in their shoes, they probably want to prep. They want to be prepared. They just don't really know where to go. And that's where you and I come in. We are leaders in that community. We've been doing it for a long time. Even if you've only been doing it for a short amount of time, you're still doing it longer than they ever have. So you need to be their rock and their foundation and their leader and expert in understanding how to prep. Take them under their wing and say, all right, you only have so much money. You know what? This corn's on sale this week, and that's a good thing to prep. So why don't you buy 2 extra cans of corn, and let's, tomorrow, let's talk about water and see what kind of bleach to actually use in the water, and do what you can to help them out. I'm not saying you necessarily have to buy the things for them, but take them under your wing. And again, I said it's where you and I are at, because guess what? That's where we have Goshen prepping. Crap hits the fan. We may not have internet. Goshen prepping may not exist. So start sitting down with them, watch some Goshen prepping videos and other channels too, obviously, that are really focused on helping them out and getting prepared. There are so many tips and advice on our channel alone. So make it a thing where you sit down with them every couple of days. Let's watch more videos. Let's go ahead and take notes, start a 3-ring binder, and you help them become the prepper. Again, it's not overnight. It takes a long time for it to happen, but a journey of 1,000 miles takes one step. Well, you have to start with one step. Not takes one step, obviously. But anyway, really help them along and coach them, and I'm here for you as well. Goshen prepping, we're here to be prepared. We're here, even when we show some videos that are kind of scary, it's all about prepping and keeping a level head and keeping emotions out of it. I hope that helps. Put in the comments below situations you've experienced or possibly some advice you've given people who, well, you know what, they just don't want to be those preppers, because there's a lot of them out there. Friends, family, relatives, we care about you, and we want you to be prepared for what's coming, because history shows things are coming.